Hey, my name's Gabe, and if I hated you, you would know. Hey, welcome to the latest episode of my internet zine, basically. Just out here doing my thing. Thank you to everybody that watched last week's episode. It felt really cool to see so many people and comments and stuff. Love that. Yeah. Let me know any other topics that you think would be interesting to go a little deeper into. And I'll be coming up with my own stuff too, obviously, to do the same thing. I have a couple ideas for more of the longer form kind of scripted videos that I think will be a lot of fun. Today, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence. I'm going to talk about detective like shows and movies and books and stuff like that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about split attention with video games, specifically Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. So with that, let's get into the show. You'll probably notice more edits and cuts and things like that in this video because I'm trying something out, right? So I had this. So in the past, I have gone through and taken out extraneous words, big long breaths, things like that. And I found myself doing it quite a bit on the last video that I did because it was scripted. Since I wasn't doing it off the cuff in the same way that I'm doing it now, I felt like my awkward pauses were weirder in that than they would be in something like this. And these I haven't been editing at all, really. I've just been recording them, like splicing in like chapter breaks and then calling it good. And this will probably look very similar to that, but with more cuts in these portions. I have never wanted to do that in the past because the time that it takes to do that is just like way too all-consuming. I basically do these in one day and then have them out, try to do them once a week. I usually try to only spend 1 to like 1.5 of like my days off working on this is the metric that I've set for myself, where I feel like I'm not committing so much to it that it doesn't make any kind of sense, right? Because I'm not making any money doing this. It's just something to do for me. Like it's a hobby, basically. And I like doing it. I like having opinions about things and talking about them and then having conversations with people. I think that's interesting. To achieve these cuts, I started looking around at like editing software because the editing software I have is clunky because it's older. And I figured maybe there might be something out there that can speed up the process or help me with some of that. And I came into a few videos about something called Descript. And Descript is like an AI like neural system that aids in video editing. And it can do a lot of things that I'm not really comfortable with. It can make it so that I'm always looking at the camera. And I think that's weird. If I look away to look at my notes, like who gives a shit? Like I've said many times, it's more about what I'm saying than about what you're seeing. And it can do things like you could literally type out words and it will AI generate your words, which I don't really like very much either. Like I think creating out of whole cloth is one of the things that's creepy to me. But what it can do is detect all the times I go or big pregnant pauses, and I can use those to, it can basically cut all of that stuff out. Anyway, let me back up a little bit. By using AI, it can find the weird pregnant pauses, the words that don't work, ums and ers, things like that. It can also do things like balance the voice so that it's a little clearer, whether or not you have a good microphone. Obviously, if you've watched other episodes, that's one of the issues I have is just like my audio equipment. And it's something that I'm working on, but I can't fix it immediately because it's just a hobby. It can also clean up the video and things like that, but like automatically instead of running it through like filters and I don't know. It just has some technologies that empower. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot with AI and really with any like industrial or like mechanical tool or computer tool is if it eliminates things, like if it eliminates people and positions, like it feels wrong. But if it like empowers somebody to do their work better, it feels good. And I don't know how to parse that out. So effectively I'm going to do okay.
Love you.
Love you too. Basically, I'm going to try it for a month, see how it goes for me, see. There's so many different things to weigh, right? There's like economics and environment and the heat death of the planet and all sorts of other things that there are to think about. So I'm going to wrestle with that for a month, really think about it, do research, dig into the company while also using the product to see effectively what the fair trade-off is. So I'm going to dig deeper into how they work, what they do, where they came from, all of those kind of things, and how they negotiate like these topics while also like utilizing their product in a way that I can weigh the cost benefit. Basically, does it feel worth it to me? So I'm just going to go from there. I just want to let you know that was going on. So I will be tagging at least the next few videos with that generated stuff tag, just to indicate that I am using it, because I do want to be really honest about that with anybody. And if that pushes people away, I understand, but I just something I want to give a try. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about some detective shit. So just last week, I sat down with my wife and we watched The Burbs, the first season of The Burbs on Peacock. In general, a remake, like a episodic television kind of sitcom remake of the Tom Hanks movie, The Burbs, but instead starring Keke Palmer as a mom who moves into the neighborhood and all the crazy things with a Victorian house. And it ends up being like a murder mystery whodunit clue, sort of in the noises off sense, with people running in and out and kind of chaos farcical sort of TV show. Tons and tons of fun. Really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. I like things like that a lot. And it got me thinking about some of the other things that I've really liked like that a lot recently and in the past. So I just kind of wanted to talk about a few of them because they're fun to talk about. First off, really recently on Netflix, there was a show called The Residence that had a bird watching detective that was solving a murder inside of the White House. I thought that was a lot of fun. It's funny to see the White House as like it's such a dignified and noble place when right now it's like a weirdness. I don't think things are the way they normally are at the White House right now, but in that case, it like gave me very strong Poirot meets West Wing vibes, and it was very fun. I really like it. I do really like that fish out of water detective. I think this idea that like sometimes the people that have a different way of seeing things and a different way of thinking are really like the people that can solve your crime. Also, I really have enjoyed the Knives Out movies. Those have been really fun. The latest one was really good. It plays with religious overtones in a way that I think is very familiar to people that have read a lot of murder mysteries. Like they tend to take place in sleepy towns and churches are involved, or monasteries and monks. There's so many like tropes that revolve around like the Roman Catholic Church and like murder mysteries in a way that's really fun. There's probably like a dozen out there that you could rattle off if you wanted. And for sure, if you have something that I'm not sharing that you love, tell me about it, because I love to see that stuff. So I was thinking about the Last Kiss Goodnight, which really isn't that detective-y. It's just like a Samuel L. Jackson action movie. But what got me thinking about it was a movie with a similar title, The Long Goodbye, which is a Philip Marlowe movie. The one that I really like is the Robert Altman version. I think there's another one from the 50s. I would have to look that up. This would be an excellent time for me to point out the caveat that I make mistakes. If I make a factual error and you notice it, and feel free to correct me in the comments, I'll definitely talk about it in the next episode. If you don't like my opinion and think that's wrong, that's fine too. But if it's a factual error, I love to know when I'm wrong so that I can fix it. But The Long Goodbye, the Robert Altman version, is really interesting. It's very film noir, but also very like 70s, right? And Marlowe is coded as like this kind of shiftless layabout, the private investigator that you think of in like a film noir, but now drag him like 30 years into the future. And instead of his fedora being tattered, he like doesn't bother to put on a tie, and is sloppy, and his house is a mess. His life is a mess in a lot of ways. Robert Altman had a way of creating film that I think captures like a very alive sensibility. And one of the things that really gets me in The Long Goodbye is the movement through nighttime, right? So a lot of the very beginning of the movie is this very silly moment where Marlowe is woken up by his cat, who will only eat this one kind of cat food. So he goes to an overnight like bodega kind of grocery store to buy the cat food. They don't have the right brand. He tries to switch the lesser brand out with the empty can of good cat food, and his cat recognizes that it's bad cat food and runs away. Right? So all of this is taking place in like this 3 a.m. Los Angeles that's like maybe the 60s or 70s. Like the time period is a little fuzzy. I think intentionally giving it a little room to breathe. But this movement through the night of like quiet spaces in busy cities is something that has like always really visually appealed to me. I remember when I was a lot younger, like 16, 17, I worked as a janitor in this big John Deere like dealership / like repair place. And the way the front showroom was set up is the John Deeres were parked in the showroom, right? And then the offices where you would go to sign the paperwork and stuff like that, they were in like they were like facaded houses, right? And there was a little patch of fake grass with lawn furniture for when you're waiting outside of the office. And around that fake grass was like this picket fence. I remember we'd be there 3 or 4 in the morning because we're doing janitorial work, and you would flip on the office lights and it would feel like a patio at night, right? And I remember when I was really even younger, 13 and 14, I would sneak out of the house and I would just wander around my neighborhood. And the way like light spills out of houses, like into like dark neighborhoods, like for some reason, it's like very relaxing and comforting visually to me. So I have this like trail of like visual memory where I'm wandering around in the middle of the night all by myself, just trying to be out in the cool air in the middle of summer, and there's these patches of light in the darkness as you're walking down the street, just spilling into people's lawns. Then like this moment where I'm working and there's a facsimile of that makes me feel quiet and comforted in a job that maybe wasn't necessarily my favorite thing in the world to do, but it like was a moment of like self-soothing every day at work. And then I'm seeing this same kind of like movement through nighttime and radiant light playing into darkness in this Robert Altman movie. And it evokes like those same kind of like soothing, calming emotions in a very tense like space, right? Because the movie does revolve around a murder, and immediately you're jumping into that murder, the potential murder and an escape and things like that. And you're not really sure what's going on, but they're still moving in this like still moment, right? Where nothing's going to happen till later. And nothing's going to happen till later because the way the darkness, the way the night is holding a quiet moment is just phenomenal. I love that. I love that about this movie, The Long Goodbye. Just visually like really cool, and the way it evokes emotion in me is stellar. Love that movie. Absolutely love it. Let's see, The Thin Man. So these movies from the 30s that are about these alcoholic couple. They're super rich. It's very like Gilded Age coded, where the reason they are so smart and capable of solving crimes is because they are the rich elites. I think it's funny now, like looking back at it, and the humor in the movie itself is very silly, if somewhat dated. Some of the humor revolves around spousal abuse going both ways. There is that, but If you've ever seen the movie Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, the names Nick and Nora come from this movie. Like, they are those characters, and their dog Asta. There's actually a moment in The Long Goodbye when a dog is running in the middle of the road and Marlo goes, "Asta, get out of the way." And I thought that was a cool little nod to like a really great like black and white series of detective films. And I guess, so I'm going to talk about these two kind of together. So The Lincoln Lawyer is less detective-y and more like a lawyer, like courtroom drama show, obviously. But then the other one is like the opposite side of that, and it's Hap and Leonard, which is based on a series of novels by Joe Lansdale. If you're unfamiliar with Joe Lansdale's books, he writes some of the best genre books in the world. Like, his horror is spot on. He wrote Bubba Hotep, the movie Bubba Hotep, if you've ever seen that. He wrote the Hap and Leonard series, which all have names like Rumble Tumble and like kind of those rolling rhymes kind of things. But they're about Hap Pine, Leonard Collins. That might be backwards, but they're about Hap and Leonard. Hap is like literally in the book, he calls himself an East Texas Peckerwood. Like, he's just a regular white redneck dude from Texas. And then his friend Leonard is a homosexual black man who is also a Vietnam vet, and they solve crimes by committing crimes. They are like chaos agents that at one point they burn down the crack house that's across the street from them. They save people from cartels, but they also end up like blowing up a lot of stuff and stealing a lot of money and all sorts of stuff. But they're like these really cool kind of like rough and tumble like crime novels, in the sense where the good guys are also bad guys, but not really bad guys. They're still good guys, just they're also criminals. So really fun reads. The TV show did it a lot of justice. Very funny shows, very intense, and really does the way Lansdale does books well, where the characters are funny and everything seems very lighthearted until it's not. Right? Like, when somebody gets shot, somebody really gets shot. Like, when somebody gets tortured or hurt, like, it's intense and violent and not funny, right? But they use humor as a coping mechanism a lot of the time after the fact, which is like a really interesting way to write these kind of books and also tell this story as a TV show. So Hap and Leonard, really fun watch. The books, even better, in my opinion. Lincoln Lawyer, same thing. And they both revolve around this trope that I really like, and I think runs through all of these. And that's what I like to call the smartest guy in the room syndrome, which is, you see it in all sorts of detective novels, from Sherlock Holmes, like, to the TV shows like Columbo, to like pretty much everything I've listed, right? Where like these people, these characters that are in the shows, they're always like a step ahead of like the dummy. And the dummy is almost always like this institutional like state, or like people that are in charge and in power. And I think what appeals to me is it's this initiative of like individuals who are unwilling to be like cowed by like the world around them, who manage to solve like the heinous crimes, that manage to fix the big problems, that manage to do the thing that like the institution isn't set up to do. And it's like that, it's the little guy wins story, right? And everybody loves the little guy wins. And I don't know that it's like true. It doesn't always prove itself out, but I'm always rooting for it in real life. And that means I always end up rooting for it in like the movies and television too. So like this smartest guy in the room, this one lone individual who's willing to buck the system to solve a problem, makes for some great movie watching, television watching, book reading, the works. So hope you enjoy some of those. Let me know if there's any that you're really into. I'd love to check out some different stuff that I didn't talk about, or maybe revisit stuff that I just didn't mention here. But yeah, let me know if you do check any of these out, or if any of them are new to you and what you thought. Yeah, moving on. So this probably won't be a very long episode this week. I don't have an interview lined up, and I don't really have any huge topics that I'm super like keen to talk about. There's so much like serious stuff happening in the news that I think I've been really trying to like relax and like degauss from it at the end of my days. I still am consuming tons and tons of information and seeing a lot of kind of especially like in the case of a war, right? There's a war happening. There's all sorts of mayhem, all sorts of chaos, like gas prices are shooting up, like all of the things are terrible, right? And I think a lot of people feel that. I'm at a point in my life and where I'm at as a person where I'm comfortable just letting go for a little while, just walking away and trying to turn off and enjoy something to relax. Some days I'm better at achieving that than others. Like last week, like I had a pretty bad like headache and I was really just kind of like rude and abrasive and couldn't like just let go of like the tiniest annoyances and things like that. And like, I always come out the other end like just regretting time wasted more than anything. That's time I could have spent doing something productive or even just like relaxing and enjoying like my family, right? Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be like productive. It can just be calm. To that end, I play a lot of video games. Like I love video games. I have since I was a little kid. I still remember like my first experience of staying up all night playing a video game, playing Dragon Warrior, just trying so hard to get to the end of that game. Way before there were books, like you could call like Nintendo's hotline to get a hint if you needed to, but it was a 900 number and your parents would absolutely slaughter you when they got that like $400 like phone bill, which only happened to me like twice. Yeah, 900 numbers are hilarious. I wonder if they still exist. I don't know. I might dig into that at some point. But video games have been like a pretty big part of my life for most of my life. It's like everything, right? There's a big time in like the 90s and early 2000s where I was really into wrestling, and I stopped being into wrestling for 10, 12 years, and then I got really into it again. And like even now, like mentally it's curtailing, right? So video games the same way until I was in my mid-20s, video game every night, playing video games all the time. Then there's 10, 15 year stretch there where I don't. Then WoW is in there somewhere where I like absolutely sunk like hundreds of billions of hours into an MMO. So there's moments where I play video games really intensively and moments where I don't. Just like everybody, I think that's pretty normal. I don't have a good track record of finishing games, right? Like I get my ADHD functions in such a way that I get burned out on a game pretty fast, especially if it's like really big. Like I was just playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey over the weekend and I was enjoying it, but then I played it for a couple hours and I'm barely level 12. Played it for 2 hours, didn't make it to like level 13, even though I had cleared 3 or 4 places and was like, oh, this game wants me to invest like hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. And I don't know that I'm ready to be on a Greek island chain for that long playing Assassin's Creed. I backed off and I'm replaying Control because the sequel is going to come out soon. And that's a game that also I haven't fully completed. I've gotten pretty close, I think, but I've never gone all the way through. And again, it's like this attention deficit, right? So I was playing a couple weeks ago. I had started playing Dragon's Dogma 2, and I should state here that I have put 60 hours into the game and have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the way the game plays. I like the way your progression happens and like kind of the class system and how your characters work and stuff. I do not like that it takes 15 minutes to walk anywhere. That's annoying. I don't want to waste my time doing that. So I ended up burning out on it. But that's neither here nor there. What really caught me is the way Dragon's Dogma works is that there's not really like the kind of quest markers and things that you normally get in open world and RPG games nowadays. Instead, you're like traveling blind and like trying to figure out the lay of the land on your own. There's timed quests that if you miss them, like I definitely let several kids die, like those kind of things. I really like that. I think that's really enjoyable, but it caused a problem a couple times when I first started the game because I typically am a very divided attention person. If I'm watching TV, I have my phone out. If I'm playing a game, I'm also listening to YouTube. And I'm not saying that's good. Like, I think that's probably overall like pretty negative. So as I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2, I realize that I'm like really lost in this one moment because somebody said something that like I wasn't really paying attention to. And then like they fucked off and like I went somewhere else, and you can't really go back and see what they said. It's not holding your hand by making a text log or anything like that. If it is, I don't know where it's at. Right. So I had this moment where this quest ended up being in a fail state because I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And the thing that's not supposed to happen happens. Whatever. The game moves on. That's totally fine. That's not really here or there. But like this moment where I realize because I'm dividing my attention, like I'm not being as successful at this game. And so for the next like 50 hours or whatever I spent on it, because this was pretty early into the gameplay, I just made sure everything was off while I was playing it. And I really focused on the game. And I think that's more of why I like the game when I probably wouldn't, because I have tried it before and just didn't really enjoy it at all, like the gameplay or any of it. But this time I was able to dig into the system and the way it feels. Like I got pretty far in the kind of barbarian class, like the class with the big fuck off sword. Like I got pretty good with it and maxed out the vocation and all that stuff and was having quite a bit of fun. But the way travel worked in it was just too tedious, like too dull to really keep me going. But if I wouldn't have done that, if I would have just kept watching YouTube or whatever and kept getting lost and kept getting frustrated, I wouldn't have put nearly as much time into the game. So like I've been doing it a lot, like with movies and television and anything that I'm like intentionally trying to spend my time relaxing with, right? So when I spend intentional time to relax, I'm trying to remove the secondary distraction. I'm trying to put my phone in the other room or not pick it up or whatever, so that I just enjoy the thing that I've intentionally chosen to engage with. And that's made things more satisfying and more enjoyable. And like I'm using the medium for what it's meant to be used for, whether that be reading a book without a video going in the background, or watching a show while not playing a game on my phone. Every moment that we're like splitting our attention when we're like engaging in media, we're missing like a big chunk of it. I used to think that like I was a really good multitasker when really my attention was just divided. And I've found as time has gone on that the more I focus on one thing, the better I'm doing at it, right? So like even this, like when I'm doing this, I just do this until I'm done with it, right? I don't allow myself to get up and go do other things unless my kid walks in the room like before, or like something actually happens. But I just, try it on for size. I'm trying it on for size. You'll notice that I don't have really social media. I try to eliminate as much of that kind of like extraneous noise. Like I want to be the one picking what I'm looking at. And I hope you are too. I hope you're forcing like the issue. I hope you're always digging for the thing that you want, as opposed to settling for the thing that's been given to you. The algorithm's trying to serve you up something, like what's behind that? What's next? Dig deeper, try to find new things. So yeah, I don't know. I appreciated Dragon's Dogma 2 probably more than I ever would have, because it forced me into not dividing my attention between it and something else. Like I had to focus on it to be good at it. So I did that. Let's try it on for size. See how it goes. Oh no. Yeah. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a pretty short episode. I don't really have a lot going on. I'm working on getting some more interviews going. I have a few people that I've reached out to, and I'm probably going to pick on some of my friends. If you have a project or have something interesting to share, reach out. I'd love to talk to you. If it's something that I'm interested in, I'd love to have you on the show. If it's something that I'm not super interested in, I'll let you know. right? Like, it's all about honesty and conversations and trying to figure out ways to get better at doing that for me more than anything else. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think of the edits. Let me know what you think of detective stuff. If you enjoyed any of the things I talked about, or you want to share something new with me, that'd be great. And then, yeah, let's try to focus on one thing at a time. Makes us better at doing that one thing at a time. Till next time, I'm not really an interesting guy. I'm just interested in interesting things. And if I hated you, you would know.